I'm definitely not the type of engineer who likes to give myself too many options. I like to just commit to things. So like if there's an effect on a guitar, that's what we print. It's not like we'll do that in the mix. It's like, well, no, we'll get the effect as full on as we want it right now. The good thing about it, and I have noticed that my mixes are now coming up. I'm going to put them back on the desk. They are coming back up, and they sit really comfortably with it. Like each channel comes up and it fits well with the other, because I've made the decision on the guitar sound is based on the accurate representation of the drum sound and the bass sound. So it's not like I've just given myself clicks and I can sound replace all the drums. That's the drum sound. And in fact, even when I'm tracking, I'll usually put a bit of drum bus compression on it so that I know roughly what the drums sound like, roughly what the bass sounds like, what the rhythm guitar sounds like, and then so when I'm coming to decisions about what holes I need to fill with keyboards, backing vocals, or whatever else it might be, it's a pretty accurate picture of where the holes actually are. And I'm finding that my mixes now are coming back quicker than they used to, when I was a bit scared of doing that, a bit scared of committing to that crazy spring reverb on that guitar sound. I would hold off until the mix, and then the mix just becomes a whole other host of options. Hi, my name's Paul Savage, and this is my studio, Chem 19, in Blantyre, just outside Glasgow. Chem 19 was actually the catalogue number of the Chemical Underground release that was coming after. I think it was an Arab Strap single. It was so it was just the next one in line, and it was a rip-off of Factory Records that we all love. Here in the studio again, like the studio, it's built up over a number of years. We've got some strange and wonderful little bits and pieces. The copper phone is great for that kind of instant old feel distortion. I've also got a Lomo, which I love, a 1918 Evolve mic from I think late 60s. Old D12, an old Coles STC 4017 that you'll see Winston Churchill like doing his old speeches through. The little pieces like that, which are just, I think they're little colourful pieces. I love using little things like that in amongst the more traditional sort of mic setup that you might have in any studio. The live rooms, I think it's just right for me. I love a room. I think it's so important to have a good room, and it's about 7.5 by 5.5 meters, and it's about just over 3 meters high. It's I love it for drums. I think it's my favourite drum room. It would be, but I built it, but it's just perfect for drums for me. And in fact, I do a lot of vocals in there without any screens, just because I love the room sound. So I know it's against a lot of the rules of recording, but when you've got a room like that, then I think you should use it rather than put something fake on it afterwards. If I'm going to put something fake on it, I'll do something weird like a spring reverb or a plate, something that's not natural, but because I've got natural there. I mean, I've been in a lot of great studios over the years, as I used to be in a band, and I've seen a lot of great places, so it was kind of taking little bits from various studios that I've seen and little ideas that I've seen other people have. And I wanted light in this place because the old place was really dark. So we're on a corner, we're situated on a corner, so the light comes in on this side and in the front. So I've used it as much as I can, really. So I'm in daylight all day. The artists are in daylight if they're through there. There's a vocal booth there which gets the light. There's a window through from the vocal booth to the live room as well. So we wanted this sense of space and light to come through. I think it was just a reaction to being in a dark hole for so many years. A lot of people like to have a smoke and mirrors sort of thing about studios and overcomplicate it because they don't feel maybe they don't feel that they confident enough in their own abilities to just get a simple good sound by using a simple mic, well-tuned drum, and a good preamp. There's usually got to be some other mystical thing involved that kind of justifies their existence, whereas I'm very much, over the years, I've kind of realised sometimes the simplest things that are just things that work. Just get a good sound, just get a good sound at source, good equipment, good microphone, well placed, good band, and then you're off. That's it. If they can play, if they have a good, I don't know, not even if they can play, if they've got a good chemistry between each other, I think that'll come through. Production's always been a really weird one. I don't think a lot of people understand the role, and there's so many different facets to the term producer. Is it the person who makes sure that it gets finished on time? Is it the person who says that take was good? Or is it the person who makes sure the arrangement's right? Some bands would say, don't touch that, it's got nothing to do with me. So you need to kind of work out beforehand, what's the role? What do you mean by producer? So, but in Glasgow, I think or up here, I think there's less of that pecking order, there's less of that going on, so the lines get really blurred. If I'm producing something, I've got to remember that I've learned most of my lessons from bands, not from, as a band member, I learned from other producers and engineers, and I did learn a lot of some great people, but I learned more of bands. Bands telling me, could you put some reverb on that? And I put a little bit of reverb on it and said, no, could you put some reverb on that? Like, really put it on it. And I'm going, I wouldn't normally put that much on it, and they're saying, I don't care. This is what we want as a sound. This is what we want. Or on the other hand, like Arab Strap, for instance, in the first record, we don't want any reverb, and we don't want compression, and we don't want any of your trickery. We just want it raw. So that was like one lesson. It was like, wow, how to make that sound good, and the effect that has on a record, and the effect that maybe a band like Mogwai might have on, where they just want extreme, like everything extreme, more than you would ever believe, and then you just go, okay, right, yeah, you can break these rules, you can push it and push it and push it. So you learn. I've learned more from bands than that. I suppose if I can get on with people, I think that's probably a real big factor in it. I know that sounds really, it's the opposite of what you would think about the music, but you can create good music. You can create better music if you're getting on with people. It's really hard to do that well if there's no sort of chemistry, for want of a better word. If you're not having a laugh, or you're not enthused by the music and by the people in the chat. So that's really important. It's a weird one, but I know it doesn't really make any sense to music, but I think it really does. I think it does affect me anyway. I find the best records that I've made have been the ones that just came so naturally. And then you almost think that's not right. There was no real tantrums, there was no hand wringing, it just came out right, and it just worked. It was a good atmosphere from start to finish, and I think a lot of people have said that. A lot more people have said that recently. It was like, that was easy. Why was it so easy? I think that's probably the closest I could imagine as to being, what somebody might say about me. I don't really make a big song and dance about the production role. I just get on with the job, make them feel comfortable, I think. I'm a drummer myself, so I do take a lot of time, and I know the impact that drums can have on a song, and so I know all the tricks that I suppose you can employ to change the pace without changing the tempo, if you know what I mean. Change the feel without going too crazy, and just little things that can move on, little things that can lift a chorus and bring a verse down. A lot of drummers plough on through things. I like to get to a chorus and make it kind of do something different usually. It's surprising how many bands will plough on with the same. It's maybe the cut and paste generation where a lot of stuff is done, like, oh, we'll do that, and here's maybe they'll do a demo up on with a drum machine and then just copy it over and that's the beat. But you need to have this kind of fluidity and change and maybe having it lift or dip. And so I'll start with that, we'll start with the drums and then we'll go into the essential thing that a lot of people just don't have when they come in. It's like the bass player might not be thinking about what the bass drum's doing or how that's going to work with the rhythm guitar. So like you can spend a lot of time just in a rehearsal room sorting that out. With a great band that has a bit of experience, that might not be the case, and you would not need to sit and, well, it's almost patronising them to tell them about, is the rhythm section clicking. But you'd be surprised at how many bands don't actually know what each other are doing until they get into here. And that's a really dangerous situation to be in, because then you're going to have to learn all that again. You have to learn what, if that changes, if that bass drum pattern changes, then the bass is probably not going to sound quite right. And some bass players are quite happy to change, and some bass players, it can take, this is where every situation's different. It could take another half a day add another half day onto the session just because of those changes. So if you can do it in a rehearsal room, that is really handy. That's, I like to do that. And then afterwards you can, I suppose it's like you can tweak the tones and the real icing on the cake. And we did talk earlier about the idea that, which I've always loved, is that bands that have gigged the songs for a while and know that they work and then go in the studio. It's rare, but it would be an ideal. It would be great to do that. We had a lot of fun recording the Franz Ferdinand album with a mic that we had obviously on an XLR, but it was in a massive hall, and Nick went up and put one of the cables down from the ceiling of this massive hall in Govan, and we were swinging the mic past the guitar amps. And it was probably like a 12-meter all-in sort of swing, and that was a lot of fun. I don't know if Dan used it. Dan Carey was producing it. I don't know if he used it on the final record, but it was good fun doing it. He's just completely open to just let's do things in a different manner, and it was a lot of fun just to see what he did. He did a great thing once where he kept one mic static, and he, as he was recording, he brought another mic. It just moved it in and out of a guitar, in front of a guitar amp, and it had a fantastic phasing effect. It was just one of the best phasing effects I've ever heard. Was actually just from moving the mic, just him manually moving the mic with a set of headphones on while Alex played. So that's Dan's, that's not mine. So I can't think of them. I've put mics in between the walls to get a massive thump off the drums. That's quite interesting. It's very muffled. It's like there's a bass drum coming from next door, that kind of sound. What else? I use the hall all the time. Open the door and kind of try and time the delay from, like, say it's a snare to the hall. I can move the mic up and down the hall to make sure that I get it on a quarter beat or an eighth beat or a 16th or whatever it happens to be. And I've even gone so far as stretching it, like having, with the Twilight Sad, we had Mark, the drummer, in the far corner with a close mic, and then the other mic was in Studio 2. So it went right down the hall, round the corner, and right as far away as it could be from that mic. There was an incredible delay. So it's a lot of fun, but it didn't sound cavernous. That's the weird thing about it, because it was all going through thin corridors and things like that. So that was good. I like experimenting with space. If I've got a room, I'll use it as much as I can. I wish I had more rooms. In fact, I'd love a reverb chamber. there's probably room to do that above the studio, but be a lot of money to convert it. But I'd love to do it. Kemlington is probably its best asset is probably just the relaxed atmosphere, and a lot of people have said it's like a home. In fact, when we built it, Em and I were painting next door, and we looked through, and it was empty, and it looked like some fantastic warehouse flat. It looked really cool, and we just said, well, if it really doesn't work, we can move in, and this would be like the library would be a fantastic living room. So I think it was just it felt like I think people walk in and think, oh, this feels good, rather than be intimidated by bling. I'm not interested in that. I'd rather just make people feel like this is a place that we can make records, rather than this is a place that enforces something on. Some places enforce the gravity of the place onto the artist. I would never want that. I would always want the artist to feel comfortable enough to then be themselves. I think honesty is the most important thing for me. Honesty in a vocal performance, because you did ask earlier about what tricks I would have or gimmicks I would have for a vocalist, and I think all I'm always trying to get across is honesty. If someone is not comfortable in how they sound, if they're putting on a strange accent, if they're putting on an affected twang or something like that, I like people to be very, very comfortable in what they do and honest about what they do. And a lot of times singers aren't really, even people who have done it for years, they get into this rut and not singing in their own voice, and it's not just about being in an accent, it can be in an approach. I'll also ask people to think about what they're saying if they've got something really important to say. It's very easy for them to get focused on tuning and timing and completely forget the point of a song. It could be a very, very emotional subject, but they've been singing it for weeks and they've lost the whole point. So if they can get that back, if they can bring that back to the front of their mind, that's it goes hand in hand with the honesty thing. I think it has to be an honest performance. So probably a relaxed surrounding, comfortable, and then an honesty about the music is really the most important thing. You've got to deliver a performance. You can't just go through the motions and just think, oh, is that in tune? Is that guitar too loud in my headphones? It's like, no, get all that out your head. What's the point you're trying to make? And it's amazing the difference, when you hear somebody suddenly think about the words. It's like that comes through. It's amazing.